Hello, everyone. As promised, Venus moved into her own sign. So a day and a half after Sun and Neptune joined in Pisces, and it was in that particular chart there was a dissociate yod. Here we are with a perfect yod, both in energy pattern and in meaning. So let's take a look at that chart. And the chart itself is going to be for any noon, really. This is for Budapest, but I was too lazy to redo the charts for London. So but it doesn't really matter because we're not going to look at the angles or the ascendant or something like that. This is what we see at any time at noon, all right? Venus is already in Taurus. It moved into Taurus. It's coming up to a conjunction with Juno and the North Node. The North Node, of course, is going backwards. Juno is going forward. So this is an ever applying conjunction. And Venus-Juno is nice because here the lover and the spouse or the partner are going to join. We will see the exact moment for that as well. Probably be there for 2 days or something like that. And of course, the Mars square to the Neptune, Sun, Mercury triple conjunction is still very tight. Although here it is already Mercury that is closing the patterns, and so the triple conjunction is still very, very important. So here's the yod. We are going to look at it in a minute, but you can see the yod or finger of fate. Both are actually used. It depends. So I also heard finger of God. So there are many, many versions of this very karmic configuration, which consists of two quincunxes and a sextile that is joining them. And if you take a look at Pluto's position, it's at 29 degrees 52 Capricorn, still in Capricorn, moving soon in a couple of days, maybe a week, into Aquarius. That's going to be a big shift. We are going to look at that space-time moment, of course, in detail. And the moon, which is currently also at the very end of Capricorn, is moving up to an exact conjunction within probably 4 hours. And the Pluto-Moon conjunction will be intact until like 5-6 p.m. for sure. And of course, the moment the moon shifts into Aquarius, the conjunction is still going to be very, very tight, but it is already a dissociate. It's going to be a dissociate conjunction, which is equally valid. So it's just two energy patterns. So that's it. As you can see, the full conjunction of Chiron, Jupiter, Vesta, and Astrea are that's still very tight. If you look up, you can see Jupiter on the northwestern sky. After sunset, it's very, very bright and beautiful. So here's the finger of fate. And let's analyze this, okay? Venus in Taurus is extremely powerful when it comes to your harmony, your well-being, anything concerned or associated with love affairs, how you can express your femininity, and also, of course, money. And the sextile to Saturn is some sort of quiet, reserved, money-making, harmony-making potential. But Ceres is at the apex of this finger of fate. And the Ceres Saturn quincunx is about how we can stabilize our home life, how we can stabilize our homeland, the family, the nurturing principle, how can we actually look at the obstacles. I just came home from London and I was surprised to see how the food prices really skyrocketed. It's ridiculous everywhere. It's ridiculous in my country. And yeah, I mean, I actually paid twice as much as I used to a year ago, just for basic food stuff. So that is really scary, especially when you have many children, when you have an extended large family, or you have elderly parents that you need to look after. It could be scary. Now, the other side of the yod, the finger of fate, the Venus Ceres quincunx, is about how I can harmonize my nurturing instinct, my nurturing principles, and also my home. So this is a very telling even without looking at the transcendental objects, but if we do look at the transcendental objects, they're opening up some hidden karmic issues as well. On Venus, you have Nemesis, which is the punisher of hubris. And hubris is what the United States is doing at the moment, and all the Western countries are doing at the moment. And my dear friends, the Polish, are doing. It's simply ridiculous. And it only shows, especially for Poland, which I understand their anger, I understand their fear, I understand their hatred even. It comes from history. So they probably see this opportunity to crush their huge arch enemies, Germany and the Russians at the same time. The problem is it's not going to happen. No matter what the Americans tell the Polish, no matter how they are trying to put together this new alliance, I kept telling you about alliances, and it is really forming in front of our own eyes, Poland with the Baltic countries. And they think that by their joint forces and, of course, NATO support, they're going to crush Russia. No one has ever crushed Russia. That's the problem. It's too big a country. You can create turmoil. You can make disruptions, but it's not going to happen. But of course, we are all suffering as a consequence, unfortunately. But anyhow, so Nemesis is the punisher of hubris, and now it's joining forces with Venus. So I'm going to watch the news to see what is going to happen to people with big money. Well, actually, the bank failure, which occurred while Venus was coming up to an erratic position in Aries. You know, the U.S. bank failure, what was it? Silicon Valley Bank, I think. I just briefly saw the news. So, and if one fails, many will fail. And now the euro is very strong, but you can see that after a while, because these banks are all interconnected. So if there's a bank failure in the United States, there's bound to be bank failures elsewhere as well. So just brace yourself. Anyhow, so that's on Venus. On Saturn, oh, by the way, there are two fixed stars, which I'm going to talk to you in a minute, because I will also show you pictures of the constellations. So on Saturn, you have Damocles and Chaldea. Chaldea is it symbolizes the knowledge, the lore of astrology. It's really the cradle of astrology. The Chaldean priests in Mesopotamia put together this lore that we are using. And Damocles, of course, is the sword of Damocles, all threatening us that the Third World War is going to erupt in full scale. It is already on. I kept telling about 15 years, actually 20 years ago, how the information war of the Third World War is already raging. And now we have full-blown hot war in our neighborhood next to Hungary, and it could escalate. That's the problem. That's what Damocles here suggests. And then on Ceres, you have Selene, the moon goddess, and Osiris, the lord of the underworld in Egyptian mythology, and of course still the supergalactic center, which I talked about quite at length a couple of times. I think I have a video just on the supergalactic center, or the three key celestial areas, out of which one of this is very important, because it describes the feeling of nothing is ever enough. And let's take a look at these two bright stars on Venus. Arisha, which is Alpha Pisces, and it has a magnitude of 3.9, and Mirach, which is Beta Andromeda, and a magnitude of 2.4. Here are the constellations. As you can see, Arisha is the knot that binds together the two fish. One is going backwards to incarnate again and again in the karmic wheel of the ecliptic, and the other one is trying to escape. Okay, this is the northern fish that is trying to escape upwards onto higher dimensions. And Mirach is the belly button of Andromeda, the Princess Andromeda, who is bound to some rocks so that the Set can come and devour her, but then Perseus comes and rescues her. So Mirach is feminine power. It is the seed of deep feminine power. So that's what is on Venus. quite nice, I think. And just to let you know, Andromeda Beta Mirach has a magnitude of 2.4. So actually it's brighter than the alpha star of Arisha, the alpha star of Pisces, almost not twice, but 1.5 times brighter. And so when you see alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon names, all you could be sure is the fact that those are the brightest stars within a constellation. But if it's a constellation that doesn't have 2 bright stars, then sometimes this happens that the alpha will be dimmer than the beta or gamma star of a bright constellation. So that happens all the time. Okay, what else do we have here? Well, there is, if we open up and we say that, let's take a look at the 0 to 1 degrees of the signs to see what else is brewing underneath of this finger of fate. Because the 0 and 1 degree of any sign is the most prominent, the most powerful, as it suggests that the planet just moved into this new sign and gets accommodated with it, gets acquainted with it, and wants to explore. There's a lot of hopes there, or scares, or premonitions, or duties, depending on the sign itself. But it's a powerful position. 0 and 1 degree is always very powerful. And let's take a look at the fixed signs. So besides the squares of, the points of the yod, we have this very heavy ground cross in the fixed signs. One corner, of course, is Venus with Nemesis and the 2 fixed stars. And there's, in Leo, you have Taurus. Taurus is a true centaur. For instance, Manve is not a centaur per se, it is a TNO, but we simply use the label in karmic astrology for everything and anything after Neptune or beyond the orbit of Neptune as centaurs, for a very simple reason, because we work with so many, and to always label it properly, like, yes, this is an SDO, this is an ETNO, this is a centaur, whatever, it makes it very troublesome. So it's easier to say centaurs for everything beyond Neptune. Just like when we say personal planets, we include the sun and the moon, which are luminaries and not planets. So, we do this all the time in astrology, that we generalize. But anyhow, Taurus is a true centaur. So you can read his story in Ovid's Metamorphosis. And Taurus, of course, is a centaur. It's himself, which means that he has a human upper body and an equestrian lower body, a horse lower body. So he's half animal, half human, a hybrid being. And as such, it simply describes this half humanness. And since he is the most beautiful, most handsome of the centaurs, there's this inner struggle in him that he wants to be better. He wants to excel. He wants to show his nice shining points intellectually, and also in the arts and in all kinds of fine energies. And this describes a karmic issue, which is often very prominent in beautiful people who come from a lower existence or background, that they want to excel, that just because I'm beautiful, it doesn't mean that I can't be also better than everyone else. I want to be more beautiful, yes. I was granted this by nature, but at the same time, I can put energy and effort into truly becoming better in every sense. And that's the strife that Taurus explains, or expresses rather. In Scorpio, you have 2 centaurs or TNOs, actually 1 centaur and 1 TNO. And Apollo, of course, is shining just like a sun archetype, a sun alter ego. And then Haumea is the creator goddess and fertility goddess of the Hawaiians. And she is constantly committing incest by wanting to have children with her own children and grandchildren, and she's constantly turning herself back into a young woman. So it's the metamorphosis of becoming young and younger again, and then the energy of renewing yourself in order to become more fertile is linked to Haumea. And the Lotus has two basic meanings. One is the pride in one's own abilities to write, to speak, to work, and also excel. And also, so you have this wish to excel in a couple of the centaurs, actually. But the other thing is very interesting, that it gives you the power to overcome all sorts of happenings and mishaps and come out of it. And then all of a sudden, one day it doesn't happen, and you fall into a pit, you have an accident. So it gives you this false feeling that, oh, I can survive everything and anything, and I will always be lucky, and I will always have a lucky strike. And it's sometimes it's not happening, unfortunately. So those are on in Scorpio, in the very beginning of Scorpio. And in Aquarius, you have Amicus, which is our good friend, because it just moved into Aquarius, kind of leaving Pluto, which is still logging behind in Capricorn. But soon they will join again, because soon Pluto will move into Aquarius as well. Amicus is faster moving, because I think it has an orbital period of a couple of decades, really, and then Pluto has 250 years. So this is the fixed ground cross. You also have a mystic rectangle, actually with the same occupants, the same protagonists as either the fixed ground cross or the yod, the finger of fate. And there's another finger of fate forming, at the apex of which you have Saturn with Damocles and Chaldea, and the sextile between Silurus and Ceres. That is where, so that's the crossing. And of course, what else is there? Another energetic configuration, because as you saw, Pluto is still at the very, very end, really the last digits of Capricorn. Sedna is at the last degree of Taurus, so they are energetic in every sense. And Ceres has already moved into Libra, so you have a grand trine, which is energetic. So it's not functioning the same way, and we are going to look at the energy pattern in a second. But you also have a non-closing mini trapeze. So this mini trapeze is like a platform that you can stop on. And as all platforms and all trapezes in karmic astrology denote the function of trying to elevate yourself into a height where everyone else can see you, and because you have something to say or something to teach or present, that's why you are stepping on top of it. And there's always a base. In this time, it's the Pluto-Sedna trine. So the trine is always showing that I want to create harmony. Yes, but the inner aspects are squares. So there's a big tension within. And at the same time, the Venus Sedna portion of this mini trapeze of platform is not closing, because the orb is too wide, and it's also separating. So you don't have it. Now, if you look at just the grand trine, which, by the way, is a perfect grand trine when it comes to degrees. Okay, it's really closing beautifully. It's there. It's within 2 degrees, actually. So you have it there. But if you look at the energy patterns, this is what you get. The Ceres-Pluto trine is really a square energy, because Pluto is still in Capricorn and Ceres is already in Libra. So Libra Capricorn is square. So here you have a trine that behaves like a square, actually. So there's a lot of tension here. And that's what you see in the world. And then the Sedna Ceres trine is really in a quincunx energy, because it's Taurus and Libra. So again, you simply don't have the the perfect energy for the trine. And the grand trine is supposed to bring you harmony and flow and whatever. And this is not going to happen, unfortunately, because they are out of sign and they are out of sync by this. Whenever we do a karmic reading, we do pay attention on a lot of attention on these crooked aspects or these dissociate aspects, because they don't function the way they are supposed to function. So if you have such, or you see some and you analyze it, you can actually learn a lot. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.